Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah and I'm the curate at St George's Church in Tamworth. For our reflection today, I wanted us to think about the topic of community. Now, last week you probably heard in the news that Boris Johnson has had a new baby. And indeed, I have a couple of close friends who are due in the next coming weeks with a baby, and I'm awaiting that exciting news. And I also spent time on the phone last week to people who are grieving the loss of a loved one. Through the ups and downs of life, the natural thing to do is want to come together as a community, to celebrate, whether that's a new life or something else, or to grieve with one another at the loss of a loved one and to comfort one another in our grief. It's very natural to want to be community in the ups and downs of life. One of the really tough things about right now is the amount of people who are allowed to attend a funeral. That's very little. And some people are not even able to attend their spouse's funerals as they may be in some of those vulnerable categories. And that's really hard. And it's really hard to be isolated. Let's not sweep that under the carpet. This is hard. And the reason it's hard is because that's not what we're made for. We're not made to go through these things on our own. We are made for community. Right there in the book of Genesis, at the beginning of the Bible, it says it is not good for man to be alone. It is not good for us to be alone. Many psychological studies have noticed that when you are part of a supportive community, your well-being, your chances of getting through tougher times are massively increased. We're made for community. That's how God made us. And this is hard because it's not what we're made for. So today I want to offer two things, something to think about for the future and something to think about for now. So the future first. When we come out of isolation, let's not forget what this felt like to be alone. Let's not forget that actually we are made for community. And let's not isolate ourselves from one another as we may have done even before this isolation. Because maybe you've been hurt by community. If you've been hurt by church, I am sorry. Maybe you've been hurt by family. Maybe it's a friendship, whatever it is, and that's made you withdraw. Well, when we come out of this, maybe we need to re-seek community. Maybe that's a reconciliation with family, a reconciliation with a friend, or maybe it's actually finding a new community. If you're local to Tamworth, you would be very welcome to be part of St George's Church community. And if you think, oh, coming to church is a bit too scary, that's fine. We have stuff going on midweek. We have parent and toddler groups. We have our open door group, which is a group for older people who are on their own, where we just chat and eat a bit of cake. And if you're not local to Tamworth, I know that churches local to you will have things like that as well. Seek out a new community when this isolation comes to an end. But for now, what do we do in the here and now? The Bible talks a lot about the future. It talks a lot about the end times, which sounds scary, but it's really exciting, when actually God's kingdom will come on earth. There will be no more tears. God will wipe away every tear from our eyes. There will be no more injustice, no more pain. But that's not right now. And so the Bible is full of great advice of what to do in the now, in the time of waiting. And we know we're all in a time of waiting now, waiting for this isolation to end. Now, one of the first things we can do right now is persevere. Gary did a great post about keep on keeping on. So I'm not going to go on about perseverance. But actually the Bible verse that a lot of people are using when we talk about perseverance is Hebrews 12 verse 1, which says to run the race with perseverance. But the start of that Bible verse says, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, that means Christians past, present and future, the church, the body of Christ, all over the world, those that have gone before us, those that are here now, those that will go ahead of us. We are surrounded by a crowd cheering us on. Whether you're aware of it or not, you do not do this walk alone. I'm cheering you on, and there are hundreds of thousands of others cheering one another on. We're not in this walk alone. We are made and supported by community. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we can do what we can. Perhaps you've been sat by your phone feeling a bit isolated and you've been waiting for that person to call you. Maybe they've been sat by their phone and they're waiting for you to call them. Be the person who takes the first step. Make that phone call, send that letter, FaceTime that person, whatever it may be. Reach out and seek that community. Do what you can during this time. Technology is a great thing to use during this time. Reconnect with that person. Make that effort. Because sometimes that community is not going to come and find us. We need to actually be proactive about seeking that for ourselves and supporting one another in this time. How can you be community for someone else at the moment? I've been really grateful to our church community these past few weeks because they've shown us such love. I love you, St. George's. You are fantastic. And the final thing is we can lean on God. When it gets tough, when we're feeling isolated and alone, when we're having one of those down days, that's okay to feel that way. Let yourself feel that way and lean into the God who is with you, the God who never abandons you and never lets you down. And be specific with your prayer requests. Be honest with God. He can take it. Tell him how you're feeling. Ask him to help you in it. And he will. And so community, it's what we're made for. Something to remember for the future when we come out of isolation, but also something for the right now in persevering, surrounded by that crowd of witnesses, in seeking it out for ourselves, in doing what we can, and in leaning on God. I hope you have a really blessed rest of your day.